So getting back to custom orders. Custom orders are in motion and stationary, about 40% of Godwin's business. So 4 out of 10 customers are custom ordering exactly what they want. Maybe they're changing the color, maybe they're adding an option, maybe they're just changing the pillow, but they're custom ordering it, so it's important for you to understand. Now, all of our fabrics, there's a couple of things I want to review about our fabrics, because there is a numbering system that makes sense once I explain it. And there's also, people often ask the question, how durable is that fabric? Is it going to last me and my family? Very important questions, hard to answer. Here's what you can tell them about all Lazy Boy fabrics. All of our fabrics on your design tower here either have a black dot on them or a black dot with the letter P in the middle of it. That P stands for performance fabrics. So all black dots are heavy-duty rated fabrics. There are 10 different tests these fabrics go through. A stretch test, a pull test. There's a machine called a Weizenbeck machine. It has a fine screen on the end of a pendulum. Goes back and forth across that fabric. 15,000 double rubs. While it's rubbing it, that fabric is actually turning 360 degrees counterclockwise very slowly. That pendulum hits that fabric 15,000 double rubs, so it actually hits the fabric 30,000 times. If it shows any signs of wear, tear, pilling, pulling, coming apart before that 15,000 double rubs, it's not rated heavy duty, we don't buy it. We sew them together and make a seam and pull on them. We have a weight that drops down in a seat, I forget how many thousands of times to show if it doesn't rebound and gathers in the seat, we're not going to buy it. So there are 10 different tests all of our fabrics go through. And it's a continuing quality control part, because as we get in loads of fabrics, we take samples out of those loads and make sure that our suppliers maintain those minimum quality standards that we have. So when a customer says, how durable is that fabric and how long is it going to last me, you can't answer that because it depends on how they use it. But what you can tell them, if it's a black dot, it's a heavy-duty rated fabric. If it's a black dot with a P, that stands for performance fabrics. Those performance fabrics actually exceed all heavy-duty rating standards. And so, look, Lazy Boy knows where our furniture is going to be used. It's going to be used in the family. It's going to get heavy-duty use. So we only buy the best quality materials that are going to last your guests the longest. Now, how long it's going to last them, again, you can't answer that. I had a guy at a store a couple months ago, and I like sharing this story because the guy was he was a retired gentleman. He was a police officer. And he came in and he said, you know, this last Lazy Boy I bought, it only lasted me 5 years. He goes, my previous Lazy Boy recliner lasted me 20 years. I said, oh, is that right? I said, he goes, I just wasn't happy with that second one. And I said, well, it only lasted you. I said, how long ago did you retire? He goes, about 5 years ago. And then he kind of started laughing at himself. He goes, wow. He goes, I do spend 3 or 4 times more time in my recliner, if that makes sense, than I did before I was retired. So that chair really lasted him the same amount of time his original chair lasted him, which was about 20 years. But he's using it 4 times as much now because he's retired. So that was kind of cute. But performance fabrics, heavy-duty rated fabric. Make sure you talk with your guests about those.
What is that one called right there from the green with the green tag on it, the green dot on it. Almost in front of you. Put your left hand out. Keep going.
So
The green.
this one, I'm going to pull this one. We have a new collection. You talking about iClean? No. Oh, the green dot?
No, I don't. It's on.
Well, I will show you.
There is a green one in there, a red one in there.
Here's a red one right here. We do have a couple of red dot and green dots. These are very, very designer-oriented, and these should be only used on pillows. We will not make any of these. There are only 5 or 6 of them in this entire design tower. So if there's a red or a green dot, just know that those are just really pretty pillows. And that's all they should be used for, because we won't even put them on a recliner. Yep. Yep. That's next. That's right here. So I'm just trying to think if it would be better to shoot it over there on the back of a chair instead of me standing here. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So another collection of fabrics are iClean covers. iClean is something that is exclusive to Lazy Boy. These are made by Culp, exclusively for Lazy Boy. They are mostly performance fabrics, and the fabric itself has been immersed in a solution, and it's not a spray. It is something that actually gets into the best way I can describe it, it gets into the DNA of the fiber. So if you clean this fabric, you do not lose the cleaning ability of this fabric. It'll repel staining and soiling. Doesn't mean that the fabric won't get dirty, just means that it will get clean. These fabrics are warranted from stains like wine, ketchup, things like that get on it, they literally will ball up and roll off. And the way to clean the fabric, you take a clean wet cloth and you dab it. Never rub. You just dab it, and it comes right off. I bought this same fabric in a bright white. I bought a couple yards of it to make a cushion for a window box seat in my daughter's room. First thing she did was got red pen on it. I took the cushion off. I dabbed at it. Took me about 5 minutes, but I got that red out of a white fabric. That iClean product really, really works. So there's another collection of fabrics in there. Now, if you look at this entire fabric wall, you'll see that they're somewhat in color order. All of our fabrics have a letter grade. The first thing you see is a letter grade, A through S grades of fabric. The next four numbers are the pattern. This one happens to be 1426. So D1426 tells me the grade and the pattern of the fabric. Then the last two numbers, this one happens to be 87. Notice that 87 is duplicated up here in the corners of the fabric. The numbers tell us the color family that they're in. So for example, 05s over here all the way to 09s are in the red to burgundy family. If you look down at the far end, 20s are all in the green family. So a low 20, a 21, 22, 23 is a light green. 28, 29 is going to be a very dark green. If you look at this one happens to be 87. So in the 80s, a light blue is going to be 81, 82, 83. A dark blue is going to be in the higher 80s. So there's a rhyme or reason to them. The other thing it's very important to know is cap codes. Cap codes are listed right on here. This one happens to be a DR cap code. It's what we call a chopper. There's nothing you got to match up on that. So I can chop it up and I can put that on every current piece of furniture in our line. The ones you want to be careful of are the large patterns, the plaids, the stripes. This one in particular happens to be a DP. It's a directional plaid. Even though it isn't a plaid, it is a plaid pattern. There's an up and down pattern and there's a left to right pattern. And not all of our sofas will take these. If there's some shearing in the inside back or a sew line in the inside back and you sheared this fabric, it's going to pucker up and look pretty terrible. It's going to look terrible. We're not going to make it. So if you know your guest wants a large pattern on an entire sofa, make sure you find a sofa like the Mackenzie sofa that accepts a DR or a, thank you, that accepts a cap code, like a DP cap code or an HS cap code. Now, and new people need to know this, there are no restrictions on pillows. When I talk about cap code restrictions, it's only the body cloth on the sofa, okay? So make sure you check the body cloth. Pillows, do whatever you want. There's no difference, okay? The other thing to help you out with the design element or the design side of it, do use those fabric numbers. If a guest walked up and said, here's the body cloth I want, help me find a correlating pillow to go along with this. All you got to do is take a quick look. That's number 85, right? Go up to the design tower. This one's 87. Yeah, that'll work. Same color family. Here's one that's 86. Oh, I know you love that one. So they're in the same color family. What I like to do is if a guest grabs a base cloth and they're having a hard time, I walk over to here and I grab a traditional, a casual contemporary, maybe a transitional fabric, and I grab 3 or 4 real quick and I throw them on top of them. And they'll take a look at it and they'll say, boy, that's a big traditional fabric, I don't like that. Or that's a plaid, I don't like that. And that's a bit too contemporary. So you maybe know, okay, maybe they want something a little more casual. That gives you more information. As soon as you throw some quick fabrics on there and they match, they go, whoa, you just build some trust. They know how to match fabrics together. They don't know our numbering system. You don't have to tell them. Now, it doesn't mean that I can't go up in the 07s or the 15s and find something that'll go with this blue. I just know that all of the blues are in this part of the swatch rack, and I can quickly match up something for them so they can understand how our fabrics work well together. That makes sense? That'll help you with those, okay? We have 900 fabrics to choose from. You can certainly find something. Lazy Boy, as a company, our special order percentage is somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 52% of our business weekly is in custom orders. There's not a lot of vendors today that allow this type of selection for fabrics. There's a lot of vendors today that's the only way we make it. You can't custom order it. So people are looking to Lazy Boy. It's one of the unique advantages you have with Lazy Boy. And our special order lead time right now has been very consistent at 4 to 6 weeks. What are you guys quoting your guests? I guarantee Lazy Boy has sent Tom and Kathy a note that fabric is going to be delayed. And the acknowledgement, Tom is good at, and Kathy are good at putting the numbers in the system. If it's delayed, you can call them at a later date and say, hey, fabric is going to be delayed. It's going to be an extra couple of weeks. we tell you on the front end, you need to pick up the phone and call your customer. And I mean, we're very consistent at 6 weeks right now, and we have been for the past year. What Amber's asking, these ones that are waterfalled like this. Lazy Boy gets these from a custom warehouse that stocks these really unique, high-end, very expensive covers. We don't stock these at our plants. If they're out of stock of it and we can't get it right away, it could delay your order. But if that's the case, we will say on the acknowledgement when it comes back, we won't tell you which fabric is, we can't electronically communicate which fabric it is. But if you pick up the phone and say, my fabric's being delayed, like Val suggested on several orders, what you can do is pick up the phone and call Lazy Boy and say, is it the base cloth or the pillow that's delaying the order? If it's the pillow, and customer doesn't want to wait 10 weeks for it, just reselect the pillow. That's something, you get 900 fabrics here. I guarantee you can find another pillow fabric. Correct. We will not ship the sofa without the pillows. The only option you have at that point, you could self-pillow it and back order the pillows on a separate PO, but you're going to pay more money for it, which doesn't make any sense.